Alright, so May. Let me start this replay. And I want you to tell me about May. Actually, I might, maybe I should get out of the... wait, no, I'm gonna get out of the replay first. Also, you said you were platinum but fell to low gold, right?
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so the number one thing that I saw when I was looking at your... while I was watching you play May, was I felt like you were kind of lost. Uh, that you didn't have a very clear idea of how to, like, of what to do with May's kit. And just, just not being experienced. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
that's okay. That's what we're here for. So, May's CC is not nearly as straightforward as most tanks. The most straightforward tank is ETC, who just has, like, Power Slide, which is just like, oh, there's a person that I want to stun, I stun them. And you just do it, and then it happens. May is a lot less straightforward. Her Blizzard is very delayed. This ability is kind of weird. It's like a knockback, but it's delayed, and you slide yourself forward, and like you have to pick the end point instead of the start point. And then she's got a snowball, which is like, what do I do with the snowball? Do I just... Is it for that? Do I do this? What do I hit people with it? So, Blizzard is your main ability. This is the one that, like, actually stuns. You want to... you really want to hit people with it. Your other abilities you should think of as being set up for Blizzard. Because the way that Blizzard is timed out, if you just drop Blizzard on someone, they have enough time to walk away from it. Even if you... even if they don't know that it's happening ahead of time, if I do cooldowns... Even if they don't know that it's happening ahead of time, they have enough time to walk out of it. And there is a slow, I can't really demonstrate that, but, like, just trust me, if you drop it directly on top of someone, that's without any other setup or follow-up, that's not usually good enough to catch someone in it. Sometimes people are dumb, and they get hit by it anyway, but that's not what you want to rely on. So, what you want is, you gotta set up your Blizzard somehow. And there's generally two ways. Your E is your main setup for Blizzard. There's generally two ways to do May's combo. You either W first and then E, or you E first and then W. So the way that works, let me turn minions off. You can either try to W someone. I guess I'll just do it on the target dummy. You can either W someone and then use your E to, like, either knock them into it or just kind of cut off a retreat path. Or what you can do is you can E first, knock back someone and slow them, because your E is a significant slow, and use that to then drop the W right on their feet, and then they can't get out of it. So you E first, and then drop the W on them, and because they're slowed by the E, it's now very difficult for them to escape. However, you do that a few times, but it needs to be fast. The reason it needs to be fast, the E slow does not last very long, and it decays. So, it's an 80% slow, decaying over 1.5 seconds. That means, and also, I think there's like a little bit of ending lag. Well, maybe not. But anyway, your W has a really long windup. This slow is short and it decays. It's only 1.5 seconds, and like the last, like, quarter of a second does almost nothing, for example, right? So if you do this and then you drop your W like a second later, it's not going to work because the slow has already halfway worn off and it's not nearly as powerful as it was at the start. So this is less true when you get black ice, but the slow still has a short duration. So you really, if you do it this way, you really need to do it fast, and you do this a couple times where you E first and then you kind of wait and then you drop the blizzard, and that's not good enough, right? So I'm going to be pointing that out. You need to do it really quick. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so should I use like the quick cast settings for that? Or?
Well, I use quick cast. It's not necessary, but if you're comfortable with quick cast, is probably good. The main reason to not use quick cast is range. You really want, the advantage of not having quick cast is you get like range indicators. If you could see, like if you have a mental picture of the exact range of the abilities in your head, then you don't really need quick cast. The other reason you might need it is for super precise aiming, which is really good on a couple specific abilities like Hanzo's W. And there's a couple others where it's good on, but generally you don't need to be like, you don't need to have like pixel perfect aim. It's like if I drop it here or here, it's basically the same thing. The main advantage of not using quick cast is you get these range indicators. So if you don't know the ranges very well, maybe you're learning a new hero or something, or you just kind of want to know in general, then that's why you might want to not use quick cast. If you feel very comfortable with the range, then I think you should turn quick cast on, because it's kind of better.
Okay.
But that's up to you. It's not necessary. So if I turn quick cast off, which I will have to go back, I'll have to turn them back on. Let me see if I can remember. Wait, no, off. See if I can remember how to do this.
Fascinating.
You can still. Oh, I messed it up. Yeah, I'm too used to it. But you can still do it quickly. Wow, that didn't work. Oh, I hit complete quest, not toggle cooldowns. Like, you could still do it quickly. And that wasn't as quick as it could have been, because I'm not used to not quick cast. So, it's not necessary. But I'll be pointing out a couple times where you did that, and it was not good. You can also use... you can also do it the first way. You can drop Blizzard on someone, and then just... and then use your E to either knock them into it directly, or just kind of like threaten to knock them into it if they walk a certain way, so then they can't walk that way, so then they get hit by the blizzard. You know what I mean? So this combo, it's kind of the obvious Mei combo, but it's not the only Mei combo. Now, and I'm gonna kind of show examples of this in game, so I'm not just gonna do it on paper. The last thing is sometimes it's correct to just use Blizzard and not use your E. This isn't usually the case, but like, cause like, I don't know, knocking people, the E is pretty good, especially when you get black ice. But sometimes it's correct to just drop it, especially in a choke point, and leave it. And like, that's all you need to do. So, yeah, that's that. Also, the last thing I want to mention about, well, no, there's a couple things I want to go over about Mei's base kit. Her snowball. This ability is kind of weird. I don't like it very much. I don't think it's particularly well designed. It feels really weak. I don't feel like it's very intuitive. It's like, oh, it's a snowball. What do I do with it? Doesn't do very much. You just kind of, it's just kind of there. It just feels like it's just kind of there. It's a blind. It's a weak slow. Doesn't really do damage. So, it can be used for the blind. The blind is good in some circumstances. What it's also good for is setting up your combo. So, the problem with this combo, W and then E, is it can kind of be dodged. You usually aren't doing that in melee range, you're usually doing it at long range. So you're usually doing it like this, like there's a Vala here or something, and I want to combo her. Well, she's not going to let me just walk up to her face, right? She's going to stutter step. So I need to do this at range and prevent her from walking away. But the problem with that is if I do it at long range, then it's much easier to dodge. Snowball is your secret weapon that you can use to actually make this combo more consistent. If I snowball first and then do this, it actually becomes much harder to dodge if you do it right. Because, like I said, Blizzard is kind of perfectly timed out to, if you place it right on top of people, they can still walk out of it. But if you slow them first, then that doesn't work anymore. Or it's like, you know, it's like, it's a really small margin for the enemy, but they can do it. But then if you add a slow on top, then you push it over the line. Does that make sense? It's kind of hard to do. It doesn't give you a lot of room to work with, but that's the idea. Oh, there's also May's ultimates. I kind of forgot about her ultimates. So, alright, you pick Avalanche. And, well, I guess we'll get there when we get there. I don't necessarily mind Avalanche, but I don't like what you do with it.
Yeah, I can never win things, and I did try the ult a few times, but I just feel like I just need to learn how to use it properly.
Yeah, the problem with May's ultimates is neither of them are very intuitive. It's not super clear how to use either of them because they're not like normal CCs. They're like janky CCs. Ice Wall is usually better partly because this has a 90-second cooldown and this has a 60-second cooldown, which is a big deal. And Ice Wall is like much safer and easier to use. The cast range is kind of ridiculous. The cast range is like, if you're here, the cast range is like this long. You can cast it like over here. It's really big. Whereas with Avalanche, you have to like be next to people, which is not easy. Also, talents. I'm fine with most of your talent choices, except for level 1 and level 20. This talent sucks. Don't pick it. It's really bad. I don't understand why they gave it a 15-second cooldown. It could have no cooldown and it would still be bad. Like, it could just be every Q is empowered, and it would still not be very good. Don't pick this. It's really bad. Upgrade your ultimate. Flash Freeze is also bad. Whichever ultimate you pick, just upgrade it. Shatter is really good. When Ice Wall expires, enemies take damage, and they lose 25 armor for 5 seconds. That's ridiculous. You can just kind of Ice Wall people, and then they kind of just die. Like, they have no armor. Cascade is 30 seconds of CDR, which is really nice. And the snowballs don't... The snowballs are weird. They don't seem like they do a lot, but in practice, I've actually seen this do a significant amount of damage. So, 30 seconds of CDR and a decent damage buff to Avalanche is pretty good. It's also like unavoidable damage if they get hit by it. So, yeah, just upgrade your ultimate at level 20. At level 1, I would say just pick Ice Storm. I saw you picked between Heavy Pack and Heat Transfer in all of these games. I don't know if you have a specific preference, but I think you should really go with Ice Storm. Ice Storm is... It makes every successful Blizzard much better because the damage that it does to heroes is really big. So if you ever catch someone in a Blizzard, they take a lot of damage on top of the stun. So it just makes Blizzard better. And the real thing that pushes it over is its wave clear. May
Yeah.
has a lot of wave clear problems if you don't pick Ice Storm. And in Storm League, that's really important, and it's really nice to have. So, like, this is what I'm talking about with Snowball. It's like, what do I do with Snowball? Here, have a Snowball. Right? But you don't want to do that, because it doesn't really do anything. Snowball is hard to learn how to use, because it's kind of a low impact ability, but it also has a long cooldown. But
Much better.
the main thing you should try to... Okay, there's two main things you should try to do with it. One, use it for the blind, like, while someone is being attacked. Not like, don't blind someone just because you want to blind them. Be specific with it. Blind someone who's, like, actively being attacked. Or actively attacking. Blind an enemy who's actively attacking. Or, use it as some kind of setup for your other abilities. Okay. So, like... So like, what's the plan here?
Well, they were all there, and I thought I could just.
But you don't use
engage
Blizzard.
right there. Yeah.
So, I would be okay with this if you're like, oh, there's a Sonya in my face. So, okay, this is... Alright, this right here is when you want to press Blizzard and then Icing. Doing Blizzard first and then Icing is really powerful if the enemy is right next to you or very close to you. The issue is that often doesn't happen. Like, enemies don't want to walk up to you. They want to stay far away. So you often have to do it at long range, which is when it's worse. However, if there's a Sonya right here that you want to stun, you can do it if you do it right. Because... So... Yeah, if someone's really close to you, you want to do Blizzard and then Icing. So you want to drop Blizzard on their feet, and then use Icing, use the knockback to cut off their escape or straight up knock them into it. It's really powerful in melee range, it's really hard to dodge. It can be dodged, but it's difficult if you do it right. Just using Icing by itself doesn't do anything. And also, the thing about Mei that you need to keep in mind, this costs 70 mana. Blizzard also costs 70 mana. You can't, and they have really long cooldowns. You can't just use your abilities just because, or you're not going to end up doing anything. And now, you see the problem with Blizzard, you don't have any setup for it, and you just kind of place it down, and it doesn't hit anyone. It's like, people just walk out of it because you have no setup. And it doesn't clear the wave because you don't have Ice Storm. So you have the worst of both worlds, and now you're at 40% health. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So, the way to not have any of this happen is, first of all, pick Ice Storm. It's better. I don't honestly understand why people like Heat Transfer. Ice Storm's just better. Like, this is really not a lot of healing. It's like, it's a very minor amount of healing. Your abilities don't even have long CC. They're like all short CCs. Anyway. Ice Storm. Yeah. So so pick Ice Storm so that you can clear waves, and then you need to like use your abilities on top of each other. Unless there's some situation where like a raw Blizzard or a raw Icing does something specific that you really needed to do, which does happen. Sometimes it is correct to just use those abilities on their own. But that's usually that's uncommon. That's the exception. Alright, so we fight a little longer. You do this again, right? See, you can't do this. You can't just use a raw Icing and then use a raw Blizzard. Because neither of them are going to do anything. Tyrael still ends up getting hit by this. Actually, no, he doesn't. Wait, how did he not get hit by that? Anyway. Alright, so let's go through this, and you can try to tell me what you could have done better. So, let's go right here. You are going to use your abilities in the next second or so, and we already know that they're not going to work. What could you do? So how could you use your abilities right about now? Assume the W is up. Right? How could you use your abilities right now? What would be a good use of them? This is a cool. This is cool.
Well, yeah, it is. So since Tyrion's, he threw his sword, he's coming in. But
That's a
I
fair assumption.
used my W where he's gonna land, and then E if he tries to come out of it.
Yeah, that'd be good. Alternatively, you could basically do the same thing to Sonya. So I would have accepted either answer if you had said W onto Tyrael's sword and use E to cut him off, or W onto Sonya and use E to cut her off, or E onto Sonya and then W her. All of those are okay, right? But you do none of those. You just kind of throw a random E and then throw a random W. So, does that make sense? You gotta not do that. Alright. Now, okay, so now here's a separate thing. You go here. There's a Ragnaros here, there's an Azmodan here, you want to kill him. What are you waiting for?
Like not going with my E, but
Well, so what happens is you sit here for like 10 seconds and don't do anything. And it's like, go, kill him. What are you waiting for? And then Hanzo shows up and now you have to reveal yourself. But it's like, it wasn't going to get better than that. You just, if you're going to gank him, you just got to go. Okay, so that was the right idea, but you didn't do it right. I prefer... I always want to see people have the right ideas and bad execution than good execution but a bad idea, right? Because execution is something that you can improve relatively quickly. It just basically just takes practice. If you know what you're supposed to be doing and you keep trying to do it over and over again, you'll get better pretty quickly. However, if you have really good execution but you have no idea what you're doing, then it doesn't matter how long you practice, you're not going to learn. So, I always want to see, it's always better to know what you're supposed to be doing. Yeah, anyway, so like, when Azmodan was right here, you should have just gone after him, if your plan was to try to kill him. Because it's not going to get better than this. So now Hanzo shows up. I guess you were expecting him to keep walking down. Which is okay. If you had hit this icing, it's not easy to hit because it has like a delay on when you can cancel it. If you had hit this actually might have worked. But you needed to put the blizzard farther up and you needed to cancel the icing sooner, so you just miss him with the icing. If you had hit that, I think it actually might have worked because you might have interrupted his jump. Anyway. So now this is where not having Ice Storm really hurts, because you can't do anything here. And then again, you use another icing, and then you use another blizzard, and you just kind of keep doing this. You don't want to do that. You have to. Sometimes there isn't a good opportunity to use your abilities, and sometimes maybe you don't use your abilities for 30 seconds because you know they're not going to do anything. But better, like, at the very least, go for a combo. Because, like, okay, Mei's abilities are really bad individually, except in very specific circumstances. There are specific circumstances where, like, blizzarding in a choke right here, I actually coached someone before, where they blizzarded in this choke right here, and it was really good because the enemies were trying to retreat through here and they couldn't because there was a blizzard there. Sometimes that happens and that's really good, but those are they usually don't happen. Most of the time, Snowball Blizzard, and Icing are all really bad individually. Except for Wave Clear, but we'll get to that. So, you gotta combo them in some way. Alright, now you pick Cold Front, and in all 3 games that I watched, not a single time did you use Blizzard on a minion wave and then Icing through it. So, you can use Cold Front for Wave Clear. I don't know if you realize this. Like, if you cast Blizzard on a minion wave, you can use Icing through the Blizzard and hit the minions. And it does extra damage, and it actually refunds 10 mana. Cold Front... So, Icing costs 70 mana. Cold Front refunds 80 mana. So you actually gain 10 mana by using Cold Front. It's really dumb. But, yeah, what you do is you use Blizzard, and then you never use Icing through the Blizzard. You could Icing, like, backwards and hit minions, and you'd get Cold Front. And you never do it once.
Well, right there, I kind of thought I didn't have to because KT was there.
Well, I mean, you don't have to, but do it anyway. Like, it's better. It's more wave clear, and you gain 10 mana. And, like, with Cold Front, you refund 8 seconds of Icing's cooldown. So it's back up in 6 seconds anyway. And also... okay. The only reason to not do it... Oh, and also, like, right here, you don't do it either. You use Blizzard, and then you don't use Icing. You got Icing through the minions! You can just use Icing. It's better. It does damage. Even if it doesn't feel like it's necessary, like, you should just do it. Okay, the reason to not do that is because Icing is your primary escape tool. So, if you think enemies might be coming for you, and you might actually need Icing to escape, then obviously you should not do it because you don't want it to be on cooldown. But other than that, there's no reason not to, and it's just better. I like Cold Front as a talent, but you usually don't use it. Cold Front is actually my preferred talent. Okay, so now what's this? So this, okay, wait, let's go over this. Let me watch first and see what happens. Yeah, you almost did it right. Okay. So that didn't work. Let's do the same thing again. Wait, no, that's not far enough. Why is there... What is this? Oh, that's the camp timer. Wow, that was, like, perfectly placed to look weird. Alright. Pretend you didn't necessarily just cast Icing right there. So, right here, you're here, Hanzo's here, Brightwing's here. We saw that the way you used your abilities didn't really work. How might you have used your abilities differently so that they could have worked? This is actually a perfect example of what I was trying to explain before in try mode.
Use Blizzard and then skate in, because he was also slow because of the poly.
Well, he's not polyed yet, and you're already casting Icing. So I think he does get polyed, but so this is where you don't want to use Blizzard and then Icing. This is like exactly the situation I was talking about, because if you try to... You're in range. This is like the maximum range to do the combo. But if you do, it's actually really easy to dodge. So you don't want to do Blizzard then Icing here, because this is what I was talking about. If you do it right now, it's pretty easy to dodge. It's too long range. Unless... Well, so what are your other options? There is something you could do to make Blizzard Icing better, and then there's also a second option.
Using my snowball?
Yes. So what you do with Snowball in this, this is like a perfect example right here. What you could do, there's 2 valid options here in my mind. The first valid option is chuck a snowball at him. The snowball is 35% slow for 1.75 seconds. That gives you enough time to walk closer to him and then drop, walk closer to him for like 1 second and then drop the blizzard icing. You don't need to use, if you use the snowball, the snowball does two things. The slow helps you walk closer to your target. And as I've said before, the closer you are to a target, the harder blizzard icing is to dodge. Because they don't have time to react. It's because they don't have time to react to the icing. That's why it's harder to dodge. So snowball, the slow lets you walk closer to the target, which makes WE more consistent. And it also, if you do it quickly, the initial slow helps secure Blizzard itself. Blizzard's slow ramps up, so actually it only ramps up to 35%. Okay, so actually I guess the faster you do it, the better. I thought Blizzard's slow was higher than that. I guess that's why Snowblind helps so much to secure the slow, because Blizzard's slow is actually not very big. Yeah, okay. So option 1, Q him, chuck a snowball at him, slow him, walk closer, and then do WE. What is option 2? There's another option.
Just to...
What was the other way?
Just auto him?
What?
Just auto him?
Nope, that's not going to do anything. What was the other way I told you could combo as Mei?
I could throw down the blizzard and then E?
Nope, that's what we were talking about just now. You can E first, which is what you did. But then you didn't follow up with Blizzard. So we're also going to see what I was talking about before. The other valid option is just E onto him and then drop the Blizzard right on his feet as quickly as possible. If you do that, it's very hard to get out of. I'm not sure if it's impossible to get out of. It's very difficult, though, if you do it perfectly. So you E him. This is fine. But you need to drop the Blizzard on him right now. Because your E slow decays very quickly. It's short and it decays. But you don't do that. And you wait like a whole second and then miss. And now he just walks away.
Yeah.
So I'm actually very happy that this happened, because this is like the perfect example of everything I was trying to explain. This is fine, as long as this is totally what you're supposed to do until you don't Blizzard him. Right? This is already too long. You need to Blizzard him immediately, as quickly as you possibly can. And it also needs to be right on his feet, because what you want to the advantage of using icing first is now he's slowed by a lot. So if you just drop Blizzard at his feet, you win. He can't do anything about it. You don't need to predict. You don't need to be clever with Blizzard. You can just use it and it'll work. It's like magic. But you don't do that. You kind of wait and then try to predict him or something, and then you miss. Alright, so you got that? Now we're gonna keep going through the game, and we're gonna keep analyzing stuff like that. Also, I should probably mention Black Ice. Black Ice is really, really, really good. Once again, I don't understand why people think Acclamation is better than Black Ice. Black Ice is really, really good. It's actually ridiculous. It doubles your slow in total for icing, which is crazy. Because it removes the decay, so that is essentially double the total slow. And it does a bunch of damage. It's not the most damage ever, but it does a bunch of damage. Whereas this doesn't give you any CC, it's just a little bit of healing and damage. It's not even a lot of damage. Well, it's... what is it, 20% damage? Yeah, 20% damage if you can stack it, and some extra sustain. Versus this damage, and you get double slow on your E, which is so much you can do with it. If you have Black Ice, using icing first becomes much more powerful. And you may want to do that a lot more often than before you have Black Ice. The other thing it does is wave clear. When you get to level 16 as May, if you have Cold Front, Flurry, and Black Ice, you actually become kind of a wave clear machine. It's pretty nice. It's not like the biggest deal, but it helps the Storm League. Okay. Beat. Now let's go over here. You're kind of late to this, which is another problem, but we'll skip that for now. I saw you, like, I felt like you were really lost on May, not knowing how to use her abilities. So that's what I'm gonna focus on for this session.
Yeah, definitely. When I'm drafting, when we're drafting, I'm trying to expand what I usually play, and like I feel like I'm okay with tank, but I wasn't the best with May. But like usually everyone wants to pick PS or something else, so no one really wants to tank.
Yep, that is how I became a tank main. Is exactly that. No one else would do it.
And another thing, like with the heat transfer, when I also try out heroes that I'm not really familiar with, I go to Icy Veins and then I pick their most popular challenge that people usually pick.
Yeah. I mean, Heat Transfer's not terrible, but I think Ice Storm is just a lot more consistent, especially for Storm League. Every time I don't pick Ice Storm, I really miss having it, or I really miss not having it, or whatever. Icy Veins is alright. It's very hard to maintain an actual compendium of 90 heroes with all their different possible talent builds and like trying to explain them. So it's never going to be perfect, but it's usually good. Okay, let's go back. I got distracted. So once again, we're going to do the same thing. You're going to use your abilities, and I'm going to ask you how to use them better. Alright. Right here, what do you do? What should you do? You use, I think you used a blizzard here and it didn't work. So what could you do?
I've blinded her because she did get on Lunara, but E and W?
Well, no. If you're really close to someone, you usually want to use W and then E. Because it's hard to dodge. But you do this. And then you drop a blizzard, I think. Yep, now you drop a blizzard here, and now Tyrael walks out of it. Right?
Yeah, I'm just looking back at this and I'm like, I actually play like this.
That's okay, that's why we're here. Yeah, so you can't use her abilities individually like that. I say that, you can use Black Ice on its own because it's so ridiculous. There's a lot of stuff you can do with Black Ice. Alright, so now you got another chance. And now, okay, here's the other problem. Is if your cooldowns suddenly don't... These have the same cooldown. Well, actually they don't because of Cold Front. But it's if these no longer have the same cooldown, then you run into the temptation of, oh, I have this up, I should use it. But you can't do that. So this Asmodan dies. You didn't contribute anything to that. He dies anyway. Um, oh yeah, and now you have no mana because you haven't been using Cold Front this entire time, and May's abilities cost a lot of mana. So now you have no mana. That was another thing that I haven't been mentioning is like if you don't combo your abilities, then you don't get Cold Front ever. And okay, you don't need to use Cold Front 100% of the time. That's usually wrong. You don't want to always like cast Blizzard and then E. Sometimes you will do E first and then Blizzard, and that's better. But you want to sometimes use Cold Front. You don't want to like just use Blizzard and then use Icing, because now you've wasted 140 mana when you could have used 60. And now you're out of mana for that exact reason. So now you have to either well tap or Hearth. You should really well tap right now. Like, okay, so this is another problem that players make a lot, which is they get really low on health or mana or both, but then they try to stick around for longer because they feel like they have to stay in the fight. However, you literally have enough mana for one ability and then you can't do anything. So you just don't contribute anything by staying here for your team. You will contribute way more by taking the time to go back and well tap, and then come back in the fight where you can actually help. But what's going to happen here is you're going to drop a Blizzard or an Icing. Actually use Snowball, so now you don't even have mana for those. And now you're just kind of sitting here, not doing anything. In that amount of time, you could have walked back, gotten the wall tap, and been back up here. But now you can't do either of them. You get the Punisher anyway, so there's that. But it's like, if you're like totally out of mana, you gotta do something about it, because you're just not going to contribute to the fight. Especially as May, her mana costs are so high. Some heroes can kind of get away with it. More so Assassins. So this is good, I like that. Okay. I like this Icing first. Let's see if we can... Alright. There's a Sonya here, you're Icing her. It would have also been valid to Blizzard her first, but you didn't really react in time, so... Let's say right here. Let's say she's not stunned, so it wasn't... You can't necessarily get the Blizzard off. I like Icing here. Can you tell me, or can you guess why I like Icing here?
Because I can get in front of her, and since the Punisher already has her stunned, then I can push her more into my team.
The second thing you said. That's it, not the rest of it. You can push her closer to your team, yes. Which is really good here, because she's way far out. And now you can drop a Blizzard. The problem with this Blizzard is you don't do it fast enough. Again, this needs to be faster, because the slow's going to wear off quickly, and she's going to have a much easier like, you gotta be fast on this. You can't wait half a second and then drop the Blizzard. You gotta do it as quickly as you can. I'm not sure it would have worked anyway, but it's gotta be fast. You know what I mean? And then, that wasn't a very good Blizzard either, but... Yeah, so now you still have no mana. Oh yeah, you also kind of don't use Cryo Freeze ever, which is another thing, but you usually don't die, so it's not a huge deal. Oh yeah, I also really like Skating Away. I like I said, I like all of your talent choices except 1 and 20. And kind of 10, but we'll get to that. Skating Away is really good. Induced Hibernation is, I think, the worst talent in May's entire tree. It's really, really bad. Like, this is so useless. Because if someone is sitting in Blizzard, it doesn't matter if they have damage reduction on them, because their choices are either to get out of the Blizzard immediately, which requires not attacking, or be stunned, which causes them to not deal any damage and possibly die. So it's just such a, like, it doesn't do anything. uh, it doesn't make Blizzard more scary. And then backup battery is like really niche. This is a survivability thing, but skating away is also a survivability tool, and it's a really good one. So this needs to be. This has some like really specific uses where it can be super good, but skating away is really good. At level 13, I like to pick Flurry because Flurry combo. So I think Black Ice is like the best talent in May's whole tree besides her 10s and 20s. The non storm tiers. Black Ice is like the best talent in her entire tree. It's really good. So I like to build around Black Ice. So that means Cold Front is really good. Skating Away is just the best talent on the tier in general. So now you've got Cold Front, Skating Away, and Black Ice. What else do you pick? Well, Flurry is really good with that combo because if you have Cold Front and Flurry, then you get CDR on both of your main abilities, which is really good. And their cooldowns line up way better if you can get it off. And I don't think Flurry is difficult to use. And then at level 1, like Ice Storm combos with Flurry and the rest of the build, and it just So that's how I build May. Where were you? What was happening? I don't know what was happening. Whatever. This is another case where you don't have Ice Storm and it feels really bad. This is like... Use Cold Front. Why do you use Blizzard and then wait and then use Icing? You could use Icing right now and get 80 mana. So yeah, just do that. Cold Front is a good talent, but you never use it.
Only because like I can't time my skating very well, and I'm thinking like it's gonna push it out of the blizzard.
Okay, so the way that you don't do that, there's two things to keep in mind. Number one, you don't have to hit every minion with your E. I usually don't. I usually just aim for the back 3 minions. Oh, did you already use it? Yeah, whatever. Choose a talent. Oh yeah, here. Okay. So, what you can do is you can Icing forward and hit the back 3 minions and push them this way. Right? Push them towards the blizzard. It is true that if you hit, if you just aim here, you're gonna knock them back and it's gonna kind of be a mess. But you don't have to do that. You can just Icing forward and hit and aim for the back minions instead. You don't have to end Icing in Blizzard to get the Cold Front fight. It just has to pass through it at all. So you can go past it and be here and then hit them backwards. The other thing. Well, also it's literally free 10 mana. The other thing is it is possible to actually time Icing so that you slide forward and your E hits as soon as the blizzard ends. So it's possible. I'll probably have to do it in try. I'll do it in try mode at the end, but it's possible to cast Blizzard and time your Icing so that the Blizzard gets its full value and then Icing hits and you get Cold Front all at once. I'll do that at the end. Alright, so you see there's a fight here. Okay. Alright, let's back up. Also, I'm not going to go through this whole replay, but... Alright. What are you thinking right now? Do you have any idea? You may not remember. That's okay.
The team is they were gonna force a fight here.
Yeah.
So then that's when I engaged.
That's probably fair.
And I think they're about to take camp right there. So then I go in and get on the point. But
Right.
the team kind of like backs off a little bit.
Yeah. So, okay. I think your priority was to get onto this point as quickly as possible, which is why you slid forward. You probably should have... If you knew that there were... I'm not sure if you knew that there were 3 enemies on the point. If you knew that there were 3 enemies right here, then the correct play was absolutely to use Blizzard first. Like, around here, so that it would cover this circle. And that would put all 3 of them in a really awkward spot, and then you can use Icing to combo on it. Using Icing first is not terrible, as long as you drop Blizzard immediately, which you're not going to do. Actually, that was pretty quick. So that was okay. You just drop it on the point. Now, let's talk about Avalanche. What is Avalanche for? How do you use it?
When the enemy team is clumped up, then I use it and put them in a better position for my team.
Maybe.
Or I can also use it to move them away from my team.
Alright. Yeah, so most of the time, what you do with Avalanche is the Haymaker cheese. Or the Haymaker meme, I guess. Which is go behind someone and avalanche them into your team. That is sometimes a good idea, but it's like the only thing that you ever do with it. I think there was one time where you did something different in the 3 replays that I saw. And that's not... Avalanche is a lot more flexible than that, just like Haymaker. So, the easiest use of Avalanche, not the most obvious use of it, but the easiest use of it, is a kind of peeling tool. If you avalanched this way, right now, you would probably hit all 3 of these people. They would get avalanched all the way over here and be totally out of the fight. And also you'd probably secure the point. That sounds pretty good, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So one of the easiest use of Avalanche is not actually to set up a kill, but it's to get someone out of a fight. That's or to just like, you can use it as kind of like a janky massive shove. You know how massive shove, like, you can push someone away out of a fight and then they have to walk back to it, so it kind of removes them for a while. You can use it like that. It's always better. The advantage of Avalanche is it's possible to, 1, hit multiple people, and 2, you can send them much farther, particularly if you send them over a wall, because Avalanche can go over walls. So what you should do, you should Avalanche right now. Like, this is a wonderful situation for Avalanche if you use it to get these 3 people away and send them over here, which you could absolutely do. And then Azmodan, who's in the middle of getting frost blasted, would have no one next to him, and he would probably die. Although maybe not, because like your team's also kind of dying. It's a little sketchy. This whole fight is sketchy. You can also use Avalanche. I think you're too stuck on using Avalanche to set up kills. To try to directly kill someone with it. And you can do that. It's not like that's illegal, but that's not the primary way to use it, and it's not by no means the only way to use it. It's usually better as a peeling tool, as a tool to like get someone away from the fight, or multiple people away from the fight. I don't actually... those are the two main things I use it for. So, yeah, you gotta use it right here. Or right here. Oh my god, this is so perfect. You can hit 4 people. Like, look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right there. And then, like, you kind of do it because I feel like you threw this, not because you thought it was a good idea, but because you didn't really know what else to do. You're just like, there's people here, I have a button, use it. Which is okay, that's like totally natural instincts. There's nothing wrong with that. But that's why we're here. Alright. Oh yeah, Avalanche is also super good for getting people out of points. Even if, like, it won't, quote, win you the fight. Like, if you're on a boss point, Avalanche is really good. Because it gets, like, you just stand there and press Avalanche. And you get people off of it. Right, and even if it doesn't win you the fight, you get the boss point. Which is what you wanted. You know what I mean? And then you can just run away. So that's another thing it's really good for. I don't know why Ragnaros Molten Core is here. You definitely shouldn't have done that. Once again, Ice Storm. You also don't use icing again. Like, you gotta use Cold Front. Clearing waves, blah blah blah. Alright. Let's see what you do. I actually don't mind. Okay. Alright, so we saw what happened. What happened was, you icinged forward. You kind of hit people, and then you didn't really know what to do. Kel'Thuzad started doing his thing, and you dropped a Blizzard. And it definitely could have been better. So, you're hiding in this bush. They don't see you. You have a big opportunity, but you have a potential opportunity. So, how do you think you could do better here?
By using my W first and not skating right there, because I did get stuck there when I used his dragons.
Getting stuck isn't the problem, because you're Mei, right? You have a big health pool and you have a cryo freeze, which is really good. You haven't really needed it for most of this game, to be honest, but anyway. You don't want to W from here. Why don't you want to W from here?
Because they can just walk out of it?
Yes, but more specifically because this is too long range. You could use... Okay, so using W here is like almost... You can reach like... I think the cast range is like this far. If you put it in this choke point... Choke points can be really, really good for Blizzard because it's like... It puts enemies in a lose-lose position a lot of the time. So... The problem is you don't quite have enough range to make this work properly. If you cast W here, they're probably going to walk out of it, and you don't have the range to follow up effectively with icing. So, you need to get a little closer before you use your abilities, and you also probably want to open with Snowball here. What you want to do, so what you end up doing is you just kind of cast E from the bush, and they also all backed up, so that's another reason why this didn't go well. I don't actually mind... Okay. What I would have liked to see is you try to walk a little bit closer. Because, like, if you could drop a Blizzard here... If you could walk, like, over here, drop a Blizzard here, and then icing someone, that could be really good. And you also might want to open with Snowblind for the slow. Now, right here, I actually don't mind not using Blizzard here because it won't work. If you use Blizzard right now, it's not really going to be very effective. You could use it in a couple seconds to zone out, but that doesn't end up happening. I think that's actually what you do. You were trying to cut off this area with it, and then you just didn't really see the spike. So it's not terrible, but you want to keep in mind that. Oh, actually, you know what? Let me go back because this is another thing I can point out. You don't have black ice here, but if you did, what you did here actually would have been really good. So, if you see this, like if you had black ice right here, and you kind of waited too long, but like, if you hit all three of these people and then dropped a blizzard here, that would be really good with black ice because it would actually work, and you could hit probably both Sonya and Lily. That's the kind of crazy stuff you can do with black ice because it slows so much. Anyway. Yeah, and whatever. Stuff goes badly. We'll skip for a bit. You can tank this with Cryo Freeze. I guess it wasn't really necessary here. They waste this entire Punisher. Ragnaros against the fort. Alright. So now, I like it that you took this angle. Alright. I don't know what you do here. Let's try to predict. What would be a good idea in this situation? You have a really strong position right now because you're mounted, they're not mounted, and you can like you're in position to like cut off this whole angle, and you could sneak up here if you needed to. So they're kind of trapped, right? This way is not safe because you're here, and this way isn't. You can catch up to them even if they go this way. So this is really good. What should you try to what should you try to do to you know, make this engage really work, to make it secure kills and win this fight easily? What could you do that's really good here? There's a few options. There's a couple options.
Use my E, and if I landed my W fast enough, then they would have been frozen, and then
yes,
maybe I could try to use an avalanche.
Yeah, that's the general idea. But let's also try to be a little more specific. Who should you specifically aim for with your E and W? Because you're obviously not going to hit all four of them, and you don't want to just cast them in the general area of the enemy. So who are the best targets to aim for in this particular situation?
Asmodan and maybe Sonya?
Yes, I agree. Tyrael is fast and very tanky. Lily is the farthest away from you, and she's also kind of fast because of her fast feet trait. Asmodan and Sonya are the most vulnerable targets right now. So yes, basically got it right. You're learning. So this is fine. I don't mind this. So now, what you should do is use Blizzard on Asmodan as quickly as possible. What I think you end up doing is you just kind of avalanche, and that doesn't go well. Avalanche. Okay, if you're gonna do this, you want to avalanche like immediately. So this is an example where it is okay to use avalanche to like knock everyone backwards and try to secure kills. However, you want to do it really quick. So like right here, you want to walk over it. I guess you kind of got it, but the reason that this doesn't work is, well, no, he dies anyway. No, yeah, he died here. I was thinking of something else. Yeah, I guess that was fine. You definitely could have executed better. It's good to use. So if you have Black Ice, then like that combo becomes way better because like it's so much easier. People are slowed so much more. It's so much easier to get a good position to get a big avalanche. I think it would have been good to use your Blizzard anyway, and then try to get a bigger avalanche, but it's not too bad. You got the kill. Oh, Kel'Thuzad spot. Kel'Thuzad bot is sometimes really good because he like doesn't
yes,
miss.
it is. Oh my god.
That was a good icing. Yeah, so knocking people back into your team when they're like out of position is really good. That's a good instinct to have. So that was good.
Killing spree.
Once again, you're not using Cold Front. Okay. Don't do that. Even with Ice Storm, Blizzard barely does any damage to tanky targets like forts and keeps. It's kind of the same thing that I was talking about before with Thornwood Vine. Just don't do that. It doesn't accomplish anything. You could have used it on the minion wave. You can... Okay. With Ice Storm and Flurry, you actually can use Blizzard for like siege damage on a fort if you don't need it on enemy heroes. It's actually pretty good. But you don't have those. And you want to like stand in the flurry if you do that, right? So you have to be next to the keep. You don't just cast Blizzard on a fort like that. All right. So now you're going after Azmodan. And this. So this is what I mean. This is a good idea, but you got to do it faster. You got a Blizzard right now, not in. Well, I guess that was kind of fast. It still could have been faster though, and also it would have been all right to try to avalanche in there. So yeah, you could have executed that better and gotten a kill, and also it would have been fine to use avalanche there. Now this, by yourself you can't kill anyone. Also, I guess you're trying to Blizzard to save the fort, but that Blizzard obviously wasn't going to hit any heroes. Sonya runs away with Leap. Looks like she dies here. Ooh. Kinda did it right. Can I back up? Oh god. I've made a terrible mistake. Kind of wander over here, which is good. Now there's a Hanzo here, and yeah, this is good. You Blizzard in his face, and the problem is you miss icing. So like, what you want to think about when you're doing this is not which direction you think he's going to go, but which direction should he go so that it would be easiest for him to escape. you saw him start to move down, so you predict that he's going to keep moving down and you icing this way. The reason you... Well, okay. Yeah, the reason you don't want to do that is because if he had kept walking that way, he would have probably gotten hit anyways. So, you placed Blizzard, like, he's above the center of Blizzard, which means if he walks down, he's actually not going to make it. So there's no need for you to try to icing downwards, because if he walks down, he's going to get hit by Blizzard anyway. The direction you want to cover is this direction. If he walks anywhere, anywhere on this side, then he has an easy time escaping, and you want to cover that with icing. So it's like, you don't need to icing him if he chooses to not escape the Blizzard, right? If he chooses the worst path, you don't need to cover that. The point of using icing is to hit the Blizzard. It's not to hit icing, right? So, if someone's going to get hit by it anyway, you don't need to use icing for that. What you want to do is you want to icing somewhere this way to cover his escape path. So, what I'm saying is, he ends up walking this way and you end up missing. But even if he had kept walking this way, it was still correct to icing this way, because he will get hit anyway if he walks down. Does that make sense? So you pick you get the worst of both in this case, which is, okay, he dies anyway. But, and then I think that was unnecessary, but okay. It's fine. And Mei doesn't do all that much while you're sieging. Again, you really don't want to Blizzard structures like that unless you have Ice Storm Flurry, then it's okay. I do that pretty frequently. Gets even better with Black Ice. Not sure what the plan there was. Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm gonna go too much longer with this replay. I like this Blizzard. Okay, so this is another good use of Blizzard to highlight. So yeah, you don't have your abilities because you use them on the structure, which is not good. But then you get your Blizzard back, and you use it here. So I like this. Why is this good?
It's a peel for KT, and
yes,
since they're going into that direction, it stops them.
Yes. That is correct. I don't think it works, but it was a good idea. No, okay, don't do that. So you gotta keep running here. Like, you actually might have escaped if you had just kept running, because this gives you move speed. 20% move speed for 3 seconds. It's actually really good. Come on. There. If you... Cryo Freeze is not an escape. Because it roots you. Like, you can't move while using it. It's kind of weird. It can be used to dodge CC abilities, which we're not doing here. And it can, like, it's useful for, like, general sustain in a fight, and it can be used to dodge CC abilities. But it's not an escape. So you can't do this and then cryo freeze. But, like, actually, if you had kept running here, you might have made it. It would have been close. Tyrael might have been able to catch people up with his smite. But just using icing with skating away, like, just use icing forward and then run away, is really good. Because you travel a long distance and you get 20% move speed for 3 seconds. It's a really good escape.
Our forge is lost. Choose a talent. A hero has left the battle. Welcome back.
And then, oh yeah, this was good. See, I like this. So, this is the long-range combo I was talking about, where you icing first, and then blizzard. Right, if you blizzard from that range, it's not gonna work. He'll have time to get out of it, or it won't be very good. Icing first lets you set up your own blizzard. You kind of misplace it, but this is too far forward. It should be like over here, but it's fine. If he walks backwards, then that's also bad for him. And also you have black ice, so it's even better. He gets clipped by the blizzard anyway. Yeah, Azadan has a bad time here. Kel'Thuzad also has a bad time. Kind of try to avalanche. So, yeah, this is a good time. If you had used avalanche quickly here, like, okay. So another thing is you don't really do damage. And when you no longer have heat transfer because you're picking the superior ice storm, you will have even less damage. So like, you don't want to just be auto-attacking someone. Or, I don't know, you can to kill them, but what you want to do is try to use an avalanche here. So, it doesn't matter who, just like avalanche someone here, right? Try to hit Tyrael, try to hit Hanzo, maybe Lily. And you sort of do that, but it's like too slow and you miss. Avalanche is a good peeling tool. You kind of, once again, I feel like you used it as peel out of panic instead of realizing that that's a good use of it in general. Then you just straight up kill Sonya with black ice. Linhara dies a valiant death. What was I gonna say? Also, the big one sucks. Don't pick it. It's like, it doesn't even slow for longer. It just does more damage and more area. I think we're about done here. Maybe I'll do... I think you just win this. Yeah. So, there's also no reason this game should be 35. Okay, actually, this might be worth looking at. We're gonna do this and then we'll exit the replay. Alright, so what's going on here? First of all, this is a general tank thing. You should be over here, or maybe over here. You don't contribute very much to this shrine clear, so you need to do something useful. The useful thing that you can do is you can be like I don't know, an alarm system or something for your team. You can go out and scout for when the enemies are coming, because oh, you actually do go over here. Okay, so yeah, you do this. Now, how should you do this? First of all, you don't have Blizzard, which is partially because of your talent choices. You didn't take Flurry, and also because you used it unnecessarily on the Shrine minions in the first place. It doesn't do a lot of damage to them. So you don't have Blizzard, which is bad. How could we go about this? You kind of know that they're all here. So this is a really juicy choke. So what can we do here?
So what I should have done was, since I see them coming, then I should have used my avalanche and push them in the other direction.
Let's be a little more specific. Which direction are you going to go with avalanche? Are you going to go to the... Are you going to try to push someone to the left or try to push people to the right? And also, what are you going to do with icing?
Use icing. Well, I was supposed to use it if I had my blizzard, but I didn't. So I should have used avalanche and
You did use avalanche
sent
here.
them back. Yeah, I did. And then
Push them back where? Which
push
are you
them
going to
back where
push
they came
people
from.
to the left this way or to the right this way? And who are
I
you
should have
aiming
pushed
for?
them to the right. If I were to push them to the left, then I would have tried to get Asmodan in there.
Mm-hmm.
So then that would have been a kill on him.
Yep. And what about icing? How are you going to fit icing into this? Are you going to use it before avalanche, after avalanche? Who is it aimed on?
After avalanche.
How about before avalanche so that you can hit avalanche?
Yeah, that would probably help.
Okay, so there are two valid answers that I was looking for. You want to icing into this choke point. That's step one. If you were to avalanche the entire enemy team backwards, that actually wouldn't do anything because there's no follow-up. So what you want to do is you want to split the enemy team. Either maybe just get Asmodan right by himself, or maybe get like 2 people or something. So step one, icing into this choke, and you can also chuck a snowblind on Asmodan or something. There's basically 2 options. You can either use a short-range icing to hit Asmodan and probably Tyrael too, and then avalanche Asmodan back towards your team. That would be pretty good. Alternatively, you can use icing farther into the choke, knowing that there's more enemies here, and try to avalanche as many of them as possible backwards. So, either avalanche Asmodan to the left, or avalanche the rest of the team to the right, and then just try to kill Asmodan normally. Both of those, I think, are good plays. And you want to use icing first to set that up for yourself, whichever one you pick. So you kinda get the worst of both, where you get the 2 tanky targets in the avalanche. I think this will probably work anyway. But yeah, this will work anyway. So oh yeah, I remember this. Okay. I remember this.
So confused at this point.
What?
I had gotten a little bit confused at this point. Had they lived, but
Yeah, I'll tell you how they lived.
How.
Lily has Jug of a Million Cups, which heals a lot. And it healed both of them, and they lived. And that was what happened. Also, you didn't have Ice Storm. Ice Storm actually would have killed them here. So, okay, you get the avalanche. This is like the worst avalanche you could have gotten because it's the 2 hardest to kill targets on their team.
Yeah.
It still could go well. You have a couple options. What you actually should do right now is Blizzard here to prevent exactly what is about to happen, which is Lily walking forward and saving their lives. So, your goal as the tank in this fight is not to secure kills directly, it's to split up the enemy team. If you can split up the enemy team effectively, then your team will just completely overpower the enemy team. 1 piece at a time. So, like, you get this avalanche, and your first thought is, I need to walk over here and keep hitting them. But that's not necessarily your job. What you want to do is you want to, like, split the enemy up for your team. So the reason you're able to split the enemy team up here is because they clumped really hard and walked through a choke point, which gives you a perfect opportunity to, like, cut them into pieces like this. So If you drop a blizzard right here, Lily cannot walk through and cannot use drugs. And then these two targets die easily. Alternatively, if you actually just had Ice Storm, that damage alone, right? What's the lowest that they get? Right here, Tyrael absolutely dies to the Ice Storm damage there, and maybe Sonya wouldn't have died, but Tyrael definitely would have died there. If you had done the same thing but had Ice Storm. And now they don't die because Jug of a Million Cups is actually kind of ridiculous. And then they win the fight. Lunara had the right idea. So you were like, what? How'd they live? And Lunara was pretty close. Wait for it. Wait for it. No? Ah, there we go. Prob's a level 20 taunt. Yes, actually. Basically, yes.
Fall back. Don't let our fort fall.
Okay, so as a tank, you don't have to get kills directly. You can contribute a lot to a fight without sort of getting your own hands dirty. You have the ability to be like this wall that divides either the enemy team from you or the enemy team from the enemy team or both. And that itself, pushing people away, can be really powerful. So like, tanks don't do a lot of damage. It's usually not your place to be the one doing the damage of kills. Like the rest of the team, do you understand what I'm saying? The rest of your team is there to actually get their health bar. So these people, their job is to get his health bar down to 0, or whoever you throw there. Your job is to take his hitbox and move it over here, or something like that, right? That's kind of the idea. Your focus is not people's health bars, because you don't do a lot of damage. Tanks don't do a lot of damage. They don't 100 to 0 people. They don't get big flashy gleaming reset plays. But what they do is they have the ability to pick up these two hitboxes, drop them over here, and then take these hitboxes and make an impassable wall for them. Right? That's the kind of thing that you want to focus on.
Oh, okay.
So, and in particular, preventing the enemy healer from doing... So, like, if you set up a kill like this, your biggest problem is the healer. Whoever the healer is, because they can actually do something about this. The enemy tank can also sometimes do something about it, but in this case you've got the tank in the snowball, so I don't think he's an issue. The healer can actually do something about it by healing them, and also by like for example, an Anduin pull, or Rhaegar casts ancestral healing, or a cleanse, or something. Healers have lots of ways to take this and make it not work. That's kind of their job. That's part of their job, is to ruin your day. So you definitely, if you get a big setup it's a numbers thing, right? If we just focus the camera right here, this is a 3v2. There's 3 of your guys, there's 2 of them, and also they're weak, because they're about to be stunned. Oh no, sorry, it's a 4v2, because the Nora's over here. So all 4 of these people can hit these 2 targets. They can kill them pretty quick. And, even though these 2 are tanky. And they can kill them pretty quick, and these 2 targets are already weak, because they're about to be stunned. So they're at a massive disadvantage, and they're at a massive numbers disadvantage. You don't need to be there. You don't contribute that much by going back here and dropping the blizzard on them. They're already dead if they don't get help. Right? So the best use of your talents is not to kill them faster, but to prevent them from getting any help. Because if these two are just dropped here and they have no way to get assistance from the rest of their team, they're dead. There's no way, like, unless they can escape, which in this case they can't, they're just dead. There's nothing they can do. You can't win that disadvantaged. However, if a wild Lily shows up and starts throwing tea at everyone, then they can live. Right? So that's a very long way of saying that sometimes, actually often, the best thing for you to do as a tank is to do something that sets up a kill, and then trust your team to finish it for you, and instead focus on delaying the rest of the enemy team. Make sure that the people that you handed to your team on a silver platter can't be saved. Because if you do that, then they're already dead. And I think that's where we're going to end it. I'm going to the thing I didn't talk about was Ice Wall, which I honestly don't think I have a very good way to explain how to use Ice Wall, to be honest. It's kind of janky. And you can mess up your own teammates with it, but the problem is you can mess up your own teammates with both of your ultimates as Mei, so it's not like it's worse than Avalanche.
Choose a talent. Choose a talent.
Let me just go to 16. I'll show you a couple things.
Choose a talent.
Select ally hero, none. Select enemy hero, none. Toggle minions, toggle minions.
Choose a talent. Choose a talent. Choose a talent.
So first of all, Mei is actually really good at wave clear at 16 with this build. Do this. Oh yeah, this is what I wanted to show you. You see that? So that's the timing. So like you drop Blizzard, and then you can time it so that those go off at basically the same time. They don't have to be exactly the same time. You can use icing a little later. So you could do it like this. I didn't do it right. Hang on. You could do it a little bit later. Like that. That's okay. Let me do another minion wave. But yeah, this is... So there's two things you can do. You can either just hit the back minions, which is better at lower levels. You knock them back into the blizzard so that it's not a problem. I would not be one-shotting them if I didn't have these talents. So it's good to knock them backwards. Alternatively, you can time it so that it does this. Right. And that clears the whole wave. That clears the whole wave at 16. Yeah. And you don't have to worry about the knocking back. Let me actually go to a lower level to show you.
Choose a talent. Choose a talent. Choose a talent. Choose a talent.
Choose a talent. So you can do this. Right, and you see they got hit by the blizzard and the icing. Or I'll slide all the way back. You can also, you don't even have to time it if you're okay with just hitting the back minions. So you can just do this. Right? And then throw a snowball. Snowball helps with wave clear because it's like basically worth one auto attack, so it saves you one auto attack on several of the minions. Yeah, that's That's that. So that's what I was talking about before. You don't have to worry about the knockback if you do it right. Ice Wall's cast range is massive. It's kind of ridiculous, and it's vector targeting, so you can go like this. There's actually a bug with it where if you use it at max range, it doesn't show properly. So like if I do this, you see how you can't actually see your own ice wall until it casts? That's not supposed to happen. If I do it in vision, you can absolutely see the indicator before it goes off. So that's something to be aware of. That messed me up a few times when I was learning it.
There you are.
See how good this wave clear is though with Ice Storm and Cold Front. See, this is why she's good at wave clear, because when you pick these two talents, suddenly you gain a lot more damage that you can use on the minion wave. And then at 13 you get Flurry and Black Ice, and you can actually just one-shot waves and get all your cooldowns back. It's pretty nice.
Choose a talent.
I do this a lot as Mei.
Getting strange ratings.
And now the wave's clear. Like, look at that. That's amazing. And then you can
It's so
also,
fast.
if you get your cooldowns back, you can also just do this to structures. Because, like, my stuff comes back in 6 seconds, 7 seconds. You can even tank tower shots with the 50 armor. They don't even do much to you. Though, it's not always a good idea. Right, so that's kind of how that works. I don't have a good way of explaining how to use Ice Wall. It's complicated. It's hard to use, and you have to know how to not mess up your own teammates with it. It's also vector targeting, which is the hardest kind of targeting. So yeah, it's complicated. I think I'll just get a replay and try to show you something. I don't know if I think there was something else I wanted to show off. I don't remember what it was though. Do you have any questions or anything?
Yeah, so it's mostly me, not knowing how to tank properly, and me using my abilities in the wrong order, so to speak. And like I feel like I can like grasp the character, but it's just me picking one, and then I think I know how to play them. Because this also happened with Lunara when I was playing her.
Yeah.
Like I was playing her like when she came out, and I thought I knew how to play her, but it was after when the choking pollen got buffed. Then I really wasn't using her correctly.
Yeah.
So then when you showed how to do that, it's like, what? That would make so much sense. Yeah. So I'm supposed to, as a tank, I'm supposed to separate everyone, separate the enemy team, trust my team.
So, your job... Okay, you have 2 jobs. Very generally, you have 2 basic jobs as a tank. To hand kills to your allies on a silver platter. Not to get them yourself, but to hand them to your allies, and to prevent the enemy team from doing the same. So, those are the 2 basic things that you do as a tank. You set up kills, set up really easy kills for your allies with your CC, because tanks have really strong CC, that's why they have CC. And you can also use that CC to deny kills from the enemy team, which is called peeling. So that's engaging and peeling, essentially. But those are your jobs. That's not to say that your damage doesn't matter, and knowing exactly how much damage you can output is really important on every hero in the game. But you have to actually, you know what? Let me show you. Let me get an enemy hero in here. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Like, Jane is really squishy, so Mei can actually do a ton of damage at high
Choose a
levels.
talent.
Not at low
Choose
levels,
a
but at
talent.
high levels.
Choose a talent. Choose a talent. Choose a talent. Choose a talent.
Oh, what's over there? There you are. 冰巧，升起来吧。
Yeah, Ice Blade.
First blood.
I think I missed my Black Ice or something. I should have killed her immediately. But like, this is a combo that I've actually done to people before. Is like you Blizzard, ice them, and then use Ice Wall on top of it, and that shatters, like with Shatter. Let me get someone with a little bit more health. Karazim has a bunch more health. Oh my god, that water elemental doesn't go away. Oh, now it does. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, keep talking.
And like, what maps are best for me?
Mia's pretty generalist.
冰巧，
I don't think she does a lot better on... She kind of works on most maps.
there you are.
Karazim walked into that, but... Like, he has no health left.
Your enemies fall before
And also, like, some of her matchups, like, if I only usually go snowball build if, like, they have a bunch of auto attackers, but
No,
sometimes
don't
I-
do that. So,
Okay.
blinds don't counter auto attackers.
Yes.
Unless you have so many blinds that, like, they can't do anything. But the blinds in Heroes of the Storm are generally not good enough for that to happen. Johanna is the best at it, but even she doesn't just counter auto attackers by existing. So you don't want to pick blinds to counter auto attackers. That doesn't really work.
冰巧，升起来吧。
Mei is a really generalist hero. She doesn't have a lot of good or bad matchups. She just kind of exists. And she doesn't really have good or bad maps. The one thing that really sucks for her is Varian Shield Break just literally deletes her trait, which is super annoying. Also, Anna's healing grenade also deletes her trait. So those are really bad. Overall, she doesn't have a lot of... She's not very matchup or map dependent. Mei's kid is very generalist. I would say if you wanted to learn any tank, ETC is by far the most straightforward. Because Power Slide is like... Power Slide is like the... Well, for one, it's really powerful. It's arguably the most powerful basic ability in the game. But it's just so easy to demonstrate those things that I was talking about engaging and peeling. So it's like if you see someone that you think your team can kill, you power slide them and maybe knock them back, right? And then your team tries to kill them. Alternatively, if you want to save one of your allies, you power slide whoever's damaging them. Like, it's really straightforward. It's really simple.
You got something for me to sign?
So if you don't know how to tank, I think ETC is by far... ETC is like the simplest tank in the game. Not necessarily the easiest, because Johanna also exists. But I think ETC is the simplest tank in the game, and he's pretty easy. Yeah, Mei is harder because her abilities are not very easy to use. And also her ultimates are not very easy to use. A lot of higher level players think she's quite weak. But she's fine if you're not Grandmaster.
Okay.
If you play Johanna, I can teach you all about Johanna. I have a few Johanna levels.
He usually gets banned and never get to play her.
That's true. Johanna gets banned every game nowadays, which is really sad. ETC doesn't though, so you can also learn him. He's, like I said, he's really straightforward, and I think ETC is good at getting you into the mindset of setting up kills for your teammates. Because like ETC, it's like he's all about his stun, right? So I think it's easier to get into the tank mindset of using the stun for your team or to deny the enemy team, rather than trying to make big plays yourself. That's not to say you can't mess it up. You absolutely can. But anyway, that's something to think about. Anything else? Otherwise, I think I'm basically done.
No, I think that's pretty much it.
Okay.
Thank you so much for this. I hopefully, so recap. If I'm going to use my E first, I have to build it properly with the second level 1 talent, and if I'm gonna use Black Ice, I have to use Blizzard like immediately after.
Icing. If you use icing first, you want to use Blizzard. I was a little, to be fair, I was a little overly harsh with that. It's not easy to do, but you did say you were platinum, so I was gonna criticize mechanics somewhat. I probably got a little overzealous with it, but the faster you use Blizzard, the better. Black Ice actually makes it easier because the slow is so much stronger that you have more room to work with.
All those words and pictures are backwards from
So the first thing that the main thing that I want to recap is there's like the two main combos for Mei's abilities. At short range, in particular, it's really good.
How's it going?
Like, you don't do this 100% of the time, but at short to mid range, Blizzard first, and then, well, actually Snowball first a lot of the time, and then Blizzard, and then use icing to cut off the optimal path for the enemy. If they walk all the way across Blizzard, they're gonna get hit anyway. So you want to cut off like the shortest path for them, if possible. Blizzard first, then icing is a lot harder to dodge at close range. That's why it's good at close range, and it's harder to dodge because they have less time to react to icing. At long range, you usually want to go icing first, especially when you have Black Ice. Icing is really powerful with Black Ice. So, at long range, you typically want to go icing first and then try to set up for something else, like Blizzard or maybe even an Avalanche. Or an Ice Wall. You can go icing into Ice Wall, that's valid. I've done that. I didn't really teach you how to use Ice Wall though. It's hard. Both of her ultimates are kind of jank.
This is boring.
I showed you how to wave clear, I hope. I hope you understood that. At level 1, even just using Blizzard for wave clear is good when you have Ice Storm. Just the Blizzard itself does a good amount of, it's like half of the wave. By itself. When you add a Snowball, her abilities don't do a lot of damage, but like it adds up, right? You do the Blizzard, which with Ice Storm does a good amount of damage, then you throw a Snowblind on top, and then you throw an Icing on top with Cold Front. Suddenly, you've got the wave like 75% clear, which is pretty good. At higher levels, it becomes much better. But yeah, I hope you understand the wave clear. I didn't do a lot of general tank lessons. I kind of wanted to focus more on Mei because I felt like you didn't have a good grasp of the hero. So yeah, I guess just her abilities are usually bad when used individually. That's the biggest thing to remember. You want to go for combos. There's a couple different combos you can go for. You don't want to always use one or the other. But you gotta chain her abilities together or they're not very good. That's probably the biggest thing you were missing, is not chaining her abilities. Avalanche can be used for setting up kills or for peeling. Either to prevent enemies from killing like your allies, or peeling as in literally just taking people out of the fight so that they can't help. And that's usually the better, not the better way to use it, but that's the easier way to use it.
This is boring. If
I
only
think
brought something to
those are the main things. Yep.